Jnanam Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nam Shrishtam Manumapi Satchiputram Matrasarupam Rupam Tashyadamurupurim Maturim Vashtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Aho Radhikamadhavasam Praptayasya Pradita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Nadushmi Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuvyayivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Nikhila Shruti Male Ratnamala Riti Nirajita Padapankajanta Ajimukta Kulairupashyamanam Paritashtam Harinacham Shrayami Anarpita Charim Chidat Karunayavatirna Kalu Shrimarpaitum Unnadashvalarasam Shubhapishyam Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipitaha Sadahridaye Kandareshpurato Vasachinandana Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksham Vishramvaro Dyavaro Jugadharma Palam Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataram Ladini Shakti Swarupaya Gauranga Shuridaya Cha Bhakta Shakti Pradhanaya Gadadhara Namastute He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Radhe Vrindavanadishe Karunamrita Vahini Kripaya Nijapadabjadasyanmayam Tadiyatam Bhaktya Vihinaya Aparada Lakshaya Kshiptashtakamadi Tarangamadi Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Praparam Binde Naste Charanarvindam Binde Naste Charanarvindam Shila Gurudev Padita Pavan Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ji Ki Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanand Hari Hari So, good evening to everyone. Thanks so much for coming.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, well, today was not expected to be our last talk, but yesterday was supposedly the last talk, but some arrangement was there, high divine arrangement, expressing to some of the Vaishnavas. So here we are again, trying to satisfy our thirst for Harikatha and Sadhu Sangha. But unfortunately, we will never be satisfied enough. So that will take us to newer and newer chances and opportunities to continue sharing. Once Srila Bhakti Rakshaksidhar Goswami was giving some discourse, very like otherworldly presentation. So all the devotees were like totally like dumbfounded, like what? And one devotee said to Srila Srila Maharaj, "Oh Guru Maharaj, we are totally satisfied with what you have to tell us." And Srila Srila Maharaj, in a very natural way, he said, "Totally satisfied? Is that possible?" No. So in our school we are invited to a level of transcendental dissatisfaction. That's the paradoxical nature of love. Love gives atmaram, or gives self-satisfaction, but at the same time it feels that it can always grow more. So it means some sort of dissatisfaction with the present condition. So these are the dynamics we have to deal with in our spiritual life. Thakur Bhaktivinoda will say, today's perfection is tomorrow's imperfection, and so on for eternity. Are you ready for such a standard? Really dynamic, ever expanding, ever growing. So that's the level of. I was thinking about that once. Thakur Bhaktivinoda expresses in his famous Saranagati, some book. At one point he says, I'm full of lust, I'm full of wrath, I'm full of envy. So you feel, how can Bhaktivinoda Thakur say that? Maybe he's writing only for the sake of us, or he's really feeling that. And if he's feeling that, how can be he feeling that? So once this idea came to me, I felt, how can someone like Bhaktivinoda Thakur feel lust? So I felt, well, actually when you have love for God, I mean, you enter in touch with a reality which has no end. So you have love for God, but you realize you can have so much love of God. So compared to what you have now, all the remaining Prem Bhakti that is waiting for you is so much that you will feel what I have now is almost like lust. It's a very subjective, particular experience there, no? So Srila Sri Maharaj once said that very powerful statement. He said, in entering in touch with the infinite means that you will realize there is no limit to the progress. Try to imagine, I mean, you cannot imagine, but try entering into a land where there is no limit for progress. Always more progress. Always more progress. That's a very beautiful thing, but very challenging ideal also. You have to be ready for such a land. So now we are here in this material world. This is like the gym, no? So we may prepare ourselves for entering such a place someday. But this is the situation, no? We will never be fully satiated of the experience of bhakti. We know we have some bhakti, and if we are entering in touch with bhakti, the result of that will be, I want more bhakti. Bhakti is the means and bhakti is the goal. We practice bhakti in order to obtain more bhakti. Once some person asked Srila Prabhupada, what's the result of chanting Hare Krishna properly? So he answered very naturally that you will be able to chant more Hare Krishna. We don't want to chant for something else, but for chanting more and better. So we want to serve so we can continue serving in a highly refined way. In other practices, the sadhana is one thing, the sadhya is another thing. If you practice karma, jnana or yoga, the respective goals of those practices are different from the practice itself. You practice karma for going to Swarga, heavenly planets. And when you reach there, you stop all your karma kanda rituals, you are in heaven enjoying. So you use the practice only as an instrument to take you to another goal.
nástroj, jak se dostat k jiným cílům.
The same with Gyan. You practice Gyan to obtain Mukti.
Gyánou to samé mukti.
You merge into Brahman, no more Gyan, no more nothing.
Žádná gyána není.
No more even your sense of identity.
Ani vaše pocit vaší totožnosti.
Because as we say yesterday, you are reached there, no chance of falling from there.
Když tam dostanu, tak pak už není nic možnost pokousnutí.
Later we will continue with that.
Budeme později pokračovat.
If you practice yoga, you may practice with the idea of reaching CD, mystic perfection.
Získáte sebe, mystické dokonalosti.
Or some type of, also some type of sajuja of merging can be there. But if you practice bhakti, the goal of that practice of bhakti will be bhakti. So since there's that means there's no higher thing than bhakti. Interestingly, karma, jnana and yoga, they need a mixture of bhakti to give their results. But bhakti is not depending on all the other practice to give its result. Bhakti is independent, swarat. It's for itself. So the goal, the practice is bhakti, the goal is bhakti. But of course, different types of bhakti. Sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti. But the word bhakti is always there. So we are very fortunate to be engaged in some, in other words, right now we have the chance of doing those things that we will be doing in eternity. Now we are chanting, now we are serving, now we are hearing. And ideally in eternity we will be doing all those things as well. But with a pure heart. So when the pure heart is there, the less minimum service is such a big reward. Sometimes we hear that the eternal seva of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his identity as Kamala Manjari, is preparing camphor lamps. So maybe if I tell now to you, okay, from now on you have to do camphor lamps for eternity. That may be too much for you. Even if I say to you, you have to make camphor lamps for 3 hours, you're starting already to feel like. So how one can be doing camphor lamps for eternity? Well, it's possible, but you have to approach the idea of service from a different angle of view. So when you have pure love for God, any minimum chance of service represents the highest possibility. And you can be doing camphor lamps for eternity and be fully satisfied. Fully satisfied, but at the same time transcendentally insatisfied. So as we know, this happens to Krishna himself. Krishna also has some problems. For example, when we speak about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are speaking about the solution to Krishna's problems in Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu is the solution to the problems that Krishna has in Vrindavan. So how is that? For example, I once heard Gopinath Maharaj gave a very nice description. He said, for example, when Krishna appeared in Satya Yuga, he appeared as Nrsimhadev. And when he heard Prahlad praying, at one point Prahlad asked Nrsimhadev, please bless my father. Nrsimhadev insisted, I want to give you some blessing. Accept some blessing for me. And Prahlad said, I don't want nothing, I don't want anything, I don't want anything. I'm not serving you for blessings. I'm not a merchant. I worship, but give me blessing.
uctívám, abys mi dal požehnání, to ne.
No. Prahlad said, I don't want blessing. I mean, I already have the blessing. I'm serving you.
Mám požehnání tobě, služby tobě.
But Nisringhada insisted, I'm famous as a giver of blessings. Accept one blessing.
Já jsem slavný tím, že dávám požehnání, tak nějaké přijmi.
Prahlad first say, please do not let selfish desires enter my heart.
Dovol, aby světské tužby vstoupily do mého.
And actually, that was not a desire for him.
To nebyla jeho touha.
He said, let me remain selflessness, with selflessness.
Být nesobecký.
So I may remain in service in that way.
Mohl na to jemu sloužit dál.
No? And Nisringhada said, tatachtu, okay, given, but something else.
Já jsem ale říkal, tohle situace. Se tak stane, ale ještě něco dalšího se přijde.
Okay, bless my father. He was not a very nice guy. So at that point, Nisringhada said, oh, he has some feeling towards his father. So he asked himself, what does it mean to have a father? In this appearance, I don't have a father. My father is a pillar.
Vědomil, že vlastně jaké to je mý otce, a v tomto zjevení nemám otce, mým otcem je ten slov.
So I was not able to taste that particular rasa.
Tuto rasu nemohl vychutnat.
So from here on, I make the vow of, and every avatar will come, I always will have some father. After Nisringhada, every descent of Krishna is with father, mother, so he can taste Vatsalya. So later in Treta Yuga, Krishna appears as Ramachandra. So he has father, mother, you know. But at one point when he is in the exile in the forest, in Dandakaranya, he found these rishis living there, who were practicing for many lifetimes, hoping to attain the connection with him in romantic love. So they saw Ramachandra, they asked him, please, we want to establish this type of relationship with you, Madhurya. But there were some restrictions in that lila for Ramachandra. He was playing the role of an ideal king, also called Maryada Purushottam, or the highest personification of rectitude. So he said, in this incarnation, I only have one. In this avatar, I only have one wife, Sita. I accept what is called Ekapatni Brat, the vow of one wife. So I cannot join you in romantic affairs here. So again, some problem, some dilemma, that how to solve that. So he said that in next era, in Dwapara Yuga, I will come in my original form as Krishna, and you will be there as gopis, and you will have the chance of fulfilling this with me. So Dwapara Yuga comes, Krishna comes, and these rishis appear as the gopis in Vrindavan. Those gopis whom Krishna stole their garments. You know the story, Gopi Vastra Harana Lila. Worshipping Katyayani for having Krishna her husband, like this. So okay, Krishna solved that dilemma. And after, a new dilemma came. When we go to the Rasa Lila. This is the zenith of the Bhagavad. Like the topmost section. So, well, I won't tell in detail all the story, you know it. But at the point that Krishna disappears from the Rasa dance, and he goes with Sri Radha, the gopis follow the way, following the footsteps, asking all the living and non-living entities, where is Krishna, where is Krishna? Even praying to God, Narayan, Vishnu, you are omniscient, you know where Krishna is. Because in Vrindavan, Krishna is not God. In Vrindavan, God is God, Vishnu, Narayana. Krishna is beloved of Jashoda, the friend of Madhu Mangal, but God is someone else. It's a famous story where Krishna, another Rasa Lila, Krishna disappears from the dance, and gopis madly are looking for him, and Krishna transforms himself into Narayan with 4 arms. So he appears in the way the gopis were looking, and Narayan appears there with the different lotus, conch, shell, and like this. So gopis running, and suddenly they see God. So actually they have only one question to ask God. And the question was, where is Krishna? You are God, you must know. Where is Krishna? So Krishna, as Narayan, was like totally overwhelmed. What is going on here? So he was not able to say anything. He just was like. So the gopis look between themselves. They say, well, God is not answering. Let's keep looking for Krishna. And they continue running. But after that, Radharani appeared in the way. And her presence and her love was so extreme that Krishna was not able to maintain his Chatur Bhuj, his 4-armed form. So in the presence of the love of Radharani, Krishna immediately took Tribanga Lalit. He was carved in 3 and was not able to be someone else. In other words, the form of Krishna is a result of the love of his devotees. That's a very important theological point. Every form of God corresponds with a particular type of love of their devotees. So, the point is, Krishna disappeared from Rasa Lila and returned. And eventually, gopis found Radharani alone. Krishna left her as well. Many reasons for that, no time now for that. So they the gopis joined with Radharani in Kirtan and Sadhu Sangha. This is the famous Gopi Gita of the Bhagavad. So that's what we ourselves do as well, Kirtan and Sadhu Sangha. So we can deal with the separation from Krishna. Of course, different case between us and the gopis. Different type of separation. Their separation in that particular case was called Pravas. There are 4 types of vipralambha separation. So Pravas means separation due to time and circumstance. There's other separation called Man, when the lovers fight between themselves, and some separation is there. And there is an even craziest separation called Premvaitchitya, which means you are in union with your beloved, but you feel separation in union. Sometimes we speak about union in separation, but there is an idea called separation in union. Like when Radharani was with Krishna once, and some bumblebee appeared, and the bumblebee appeared in front of Krishna and Radharani. So Radharani tried to take the bumblebee out. And she was not able to do that. And Madhu Mangal, Krishna's friend who was there, he was able to take the bumblebee out. So he said, one name in Sanskrit for bumblebee is Madhusudan. So Madhu Mangal said, Madhusudan is gone. He said to Radharani, bumblebee is gone. But she understood Krishna is gone. Because one name for Krishna is Madhusudan. Because he's like a bumblebee taking the pollen from the lotus face of the gopis, if you will. So when Radharani heard Madhusudan has gone, he thought Krishna has gone, he entered into madness of separation. But Krishna was there. So he was witnessing, wow, this is very particular love. Well, the point is, that's not for us yet. Our only type of separation is called Purvarag. It means we never have been officially with Krishna, but by hearing about him in proper association, we can start to develop some sort of feeling of separation and a desire for proper union in seva. Well, the idea was that the gopis joined together in kirtan and sadhu sangha, and Krishna was hiding himself nearby there behind a tamal tree. It's the same luster as Krishna's skin. So he type of camouflaged himself. Because of this one name of Krishna called Tamal Krishna. He was witnessing the kirtan of the gopis. And actually, he did that in order to, so the prem of the gopis will increase in separation, so their hearts will flourish in that mood. But after some time, Krishna started to witness the degree of specifically the love of Radharani, and he starts to wonder, what's that about? What's she feeling for me? I do not have that experience. I'm known as Rasaraj, a Rasik Sekar, the king of all experiences of rasa, of taste. But that taste is unknown for me. So, am I Rasaraj or I'm not Rasaraj? So Krishna enters into an existential crisis. I am the king of tasters or not? Because she's tasting something that I don't know. So there Krishna developed this desire, I must taste that. So in one way that's the birth of Mahaprabhu, in the zenith of Krishna Lila in Vrindavan. And because of this, in Kali Yuga, this desire comes there in Krishna, this dissatisfaction comes there. These three main desires that we know. What's the glory of Radha's love? What's the beauty she perceives in me? And what's the happiness she derives from such perception? For tasting that, I have to leave my position and become a devotee. Because I'm God, but I don't know what's love of God. So I want to taste love of God. So I have to stop being God because I'm the object of love. I have to be the shelter of love. In Sanskrit it's called Vishaya and Ashraya. So this gives birth to the whole Gaur Lila, if you will. Of course, Gaur Lila is an eternal reality. But sometimes acharyas connect this in this sequence, no? To show how even God himself sometimes has these dilemmas, or this new dissatisfaction that takes him to create new lilas, new quote unquote, and in this way increase his experience of love exchange. So in some way or another we are here trying to follow in that footsteps as well. So we should never become tired of this type of meetings. Of joining, speaking, singing, sharing together. There's no end to that. So some brief introductory words only to give you the welcome. But well, these last days we have been mainly receiving questions on different topics that you may have. Something that you would like to speak and hear about. So, if you have something you would like to ask or present, it's your turn now. I know we have already 2 questions there. At least 2. Yesterday were 2. Maybe now there are like 17 because new things come. But also I don't know.
We can speak out about this topic. One question.
Yeah.
You can explain because you speak the topic and verse from Bhagavatam, Yachrinvatam Rasa Jnanam Swadu Swadu Pade. That never.
I spoke. Okay.
Yachrinvatam Rasa Jnanam Swadu. That living being never is satisfied.
Okay.
There is no limit. And in
okay. The question is about this topic. Okay.
About this topic.
I understood.
Yes. Yesterday. No.
So I didn't connect it to sloka.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
About the present moment. And this verse from Bhagavatam about no end, and it speaks that Chrimatam Rasa Jnanam Svadu Svadu Pade Pade. On every step you can feel new and new experience, and there is no limit. And you can explain about Rasa Jnanam. What means Rasa Jnanam, or little bit about Jnana, Jnana, Vijnana, Divya Jnana. What means Rasa Jnana? You can speak on this little on this topic.
But that's not little topic. You say little.
I think
that's not little.
I try to continue little bit, 1 hour maybe,
Okay.
about this topic, because generally is Jnana knowledge, but we see we can see in the and experience Jnana, Vijnana, Divya Jnana, Rasa Jnana. Please, if you can speak a little bit about this, maybe 1 hour will be.
Okay.
Not full satisfaction is not possible.
No, it will never be possible. But in order to increase our dissatisfaction, transcendental dissatisfaction. Okay. So hopefully you have free like next 4 or 5 hours for free, so we can speak openly. You have canceled your different responsibilities for the next 2 days, so we can. So yeah, Gyan. Well, yeah, the term Gyan, of course, it's a very generic term. I mean, you say Gyan, okay, knowledge. You can quote that idea in so many different contexts. Previously, I spoke of Jnana as a practice that points to mukti, to impersonal mukti. There's a whole path called Jnana, you know. The Vedas mainly present these 3 khandas or 3 paths. Karma kanda, Jnana kanda, and Bhakti kanda or Upasana kanda. So, in that case, Jnana has to do with monistic knowledge, or we may call dry knowledge, which actually is something unfavorable to Bhakti. Rupa Goswami will say Gyan Karmadi Anabritam. When he described the type of Bhakti that we are after in this school, he said Anyavilasita Sunyam Gyan Karmadi Anabritam. So Uttam Bhakti, pure Bhakti, shouldn't be covered by Gyan, Karma, Adi, other things like yoga, tapasya, stuff like this. That's not part of Bhakti. So, but that doesn't mean that there's not any knowledge in Bhakti. So the word Gyan appears also in the context of Bhakti. In many places. In the Gita, in the Bhagavad. For example, in the famous Chaturshloki of the Bhagavad, where Krishna instructs Brahma at the beginning of creation, he used the word Gyan. He used the word Rahasya as well. So Rahasya means secret.
Zase znamená tajemství.
In Bhagavad Gita we also find that.
Gita také nacházíme to slovo.
With other terms, but Vidya. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. The king of knowledge, which is at the same time the king of secrets. So our particular tradition is a very esoteric one. For example, in our tradition, in the Veda, let's go to the Veda for a minute. So Krishna Bhagavad Gita says, Traigunya Visaya Veda nis Traigunya Bhavarjuna. 3/4 of the Veda speak about the gunas, karma kanda, how to move in the world. And 1/4 it's about transcendence. It's the shorter part because the shorter people is interested in that. So that section is called Upanishads. So what does Upanishad mean? The word Upanishad. Upanishad means sit close. To sit close. So what does the implication to sit close? If I now tell some of you, please, sit here. It implies I will tell you a secret. So in the Upanishad we find the most secret section than the rest of the Veda. But still quite abstract. Difficult to really grasp the real intention of that section. Apparently speaks in terms of promoting impersonal goal. So because this idea was not clear, as you know, Vyasa presented the sutras. There he expanded on the meaning of the Upanishads. But still, sutra. Sutra means aphorism, something very short and condensed meaning there. On the other side we have the Bhagavad Gita, for example, which is called the Gita Upanishad. Means the essence of the Upanishad is presented there. But at the same time, where the Gita ends, the Bhagavatam starts. And the Bhagavatam is the natural commentary to Vedanta, as we say. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, everything makes full circle. Bhagavad Gita ends saying, Sarva Dharmam Parityaja. Reject all false dharma. And Bhagavad starts, second verse, Dharma Pradita Kaitavo. Rejecting all false dharma, he says, we will speak. And after that, 18,000 verses. And the Bhagavatam finishes at the feet of Mahaprabhu. So, last verse of Bhagavatam, Nam Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranamsanam, and so on, is glorifying Nam Sankirtan. So Bhagavad Gita finished at the feet of the Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam finishes at the feet of Gaur Lila. So in all these books there are knowledge, but this is not some sort of dry knowledge, but this actually, let's say, an aspect of Bhakti. So that's a different thing. Sometimes I've heard devotees, some devotees reading, and I've heard some say, "Oh, you are a jnani," and that's not proper to conceive that in that way. Like in a derogatory way, like, "Oh, you are just intellectually consuming knowledge." Of course, you may approach the books in that way also, but that's not the idea. And you should approach the scripture, the revelation, in a spirit of service, and with the blessings of the sadhus. For example, in Gaudiya Math there was some tradition, and the tradition was no one will read any book if some sadhu didn't give blessing for that. So the idea was, if I take the book by myself and study it, the result of that will be gyan, ordinary knowledge. But if I take the book because the sadhu instructed me to do that, the result of that study will be bhakti. So it seems a similar thing, but the background is very different. One thing is, I want to know and grasp and understand and intellectually satisfy my senses. That's not bhakti. But if you go to revelation by the order of the sadhu, in order to increase your serving disposition, that's something totally different. Even though externally it may seem similar to the other things. So bhakti is not so easy to grasp always. So also we have this idea of gyan. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita speaks about Gyan Yoga in the 4th chapter. And later in the 7th chapter he speaks about Vigyan Yoga. So in certain contexts, sometimes the idea of Gyan means knowledge, theoretical knowledge. And Vigyan, B comes from Vishesh, which means special, which means realized knowledge. So, because between hearing something and realizing something, there has to be some practice in between. So sometimes we hear this five-fold category called Shravandas, Bharanadas, Sadhanadas, Apanadas, and Prapanadas. Sorry if I complicate your life with so many Sanskrit terms. But I try to make it simple. Shravandas means first you hear. You hear from the guru, from the sadhu, or you read the scripture. That's a form of hearing. Shravan. You are hearing printed sounds. You hear. After that comes Bharana, which means accepting what you are hearing. Because you may read and hear, but you are not accepting maybe. Inside of you, you are totally denied to what's being said. Or maybe not totally, but partially. Some struggle there. Yeah, that's the truth, but some but always appears. You can measure your conditioning according to how many times but is sounding there. When you hear revelation, but, some skills still there. But the point is, ideally you hear and you accept what you are hearing. Not in a forced way, but voluntarily I accept. I understand and I accept. And then sadhana means I practice what I have accepted. You cannot practice something that you have not accepted. You cannot practice something you have not understood. That will be niyama graha, which means you do something without understanding why you are doing it. That's only mechanical imitation. And Rupa Goswami say that will destroy bhakti. So you hear, you accept, you practice, and then comes Vigyan. You have some realization, some insight. And finally, Prapanadas means you can share that with others. But you cannot share what you don't have. So if you are really compassionate to others,
Pokud jste skutečně soucitní k ostatním,
you will also be focused in your own practice.
musíte také se zaměřovat na vlastní praxi.
Because you can only share with others what you have realized through your practice.
Můžete se sdílet s ostatními, co jste zrealizovali svoji praxi.
So there is this first initial devotional gyan or knowledge you receive.
Začíná to gyáno, poznání, které jste dostali.
Sometimes we call it sambandha gyan.
Někdy se to nazývá sambandha gyáno.
We have sambandha, videya, prayojan. You have heard about this.
Prayojan, o tom jste slyšeli.
So sambandha is theoretical knowledge.
Sambandha je teoretické poznání.
Who am I?
Co jsem já?
Who is Krishna?
Krishna.
What's the world?
Co je svět?
What's the relationship between all of these items?
Mezi tím vztah.
That may be a theoretical thing,
Že je teoretická věc.
but that's necessary.
Ale to nutné.
Like when you go to study in the university,
Když studovat na univerzitu,
whatever, architecture,
třeba architekturu,
it's not that you will be constructing a house after 1 year.
nebudete konstruovat dům.
First you have to receive so much theoretical knowledge, and you have to understand that, and you will be tested in your understanding, and so many things have to be there before you take one brick and start to do something. Because if the understanding is not there, you can construct something that will fall apart. And you will go to prison. So in the same way, you can take a sacred book, but if you don't understand what you are reading, if you don't have proper guidance, proper acceptance, proper understanding, proper practice, you can make a whole disaster in the name of Krishna. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidimbina Akantiki Hare Bhakti Patadhyaiva Kalpate. This verse says that if your practice is not properly guided by revelation, your so-called devotional service will become an unnecessary disturbance to society. So that can happen. So Sambandha Gyan is very important. We may translate it as some conceptual orientation. Who am I? What's everything? And from that basis, I act. So when I act means avideya, bhakti. Bhakti means the natural result of receiving proper sambandha. Because when I understand Krishna is God, I am his servant, all the knowledge will naturally take me to a particular type of activity that we call bhakti or devotional service. And some result will come from that. Prayojan. So, Gyan will represent this initial education we receive from Guru and Vaishnavas. And Gyan will be the insight that will come as a result of the practice. So also in the question was included the idea of Divya Gyan. This can be connected, of course. Divya Gyan, for example, we hear Divya Gyan Hride Prokashito, we sing. Sri Guru bestows divine knowledge. That has actually to do with the definition of Diksha. This is the famous verse from Bhakti Sandarbha. Goswami speaks about Divya Gyana Tato Jajet like this. Diksha means Guru bestows Divya Gyan to the disciple. Divine knowledge. But what does it mean, divine knowledge? He bestows mantra. Mantra means divine knowledge. Because in that sound, your eternal relationship with Krishna is contained. So, Divya Gyan is Gyan, knowledge about Div or Deva, of God.
znamená poznání, vyjadřáno znamená poznání oddělet.
So in the mantra, all this knowledge is contained actually.
V mantře toto poznání je obsaženo.
Once one devotee asked Gorkishore Das Babaji,
Jednou se paní zeptala Gorkishore Das Babaji,
he asked, can you give me Siddha Pranali? Can you reveal my eternal spiritual identity? And Gorkishore Das Babaji said, that information is present in the syllabes of the holy name. It's there. If that didn't come yet, well, keep chanting. Of course, I'm properly chanting, not just mechanical chanting. So the point is, Dibya, all the necessary further revelation is contained in those psalms. So when Narottam says in Guru Bandhu, Dibya Gyan Haride Prokoshito, he's referring to this. No? Guru bestows mantra, bestows nam, and in those sounds, everything is contained. So when properly cultured, those sounds will give it their fruit in the form of my detailed relationship with Krishna and so on. And that can be connected to the idea of rasa. Rasa Gyan or Rasa Tattva, we say. That's even a higher esoteric topic. On one level, the Vedas generally say Atato Dharma Jignasa. The Vedas. Atato Dharma Jignasa means trying to inquire into Dharma. First level. No? It means like become a dharmic person. Become a good human being. No? Become a socially functional person. Sometimes we forget that part. And we say, no, we want to be devotees and transcendental. We spoke about that the first talk. And sometimes we speak about transcendence, but we forget to be properly humans. But that should be included in our devotional identity. We should be exemplarily humans. So on some level, that's the advice. Atato Dharma Jignasa. Go deep into Dharma and behave nicely in the world. At higher level, it comes Atato Brahma Jignasa. It's time to inquire into Brahman, into your nature as spirit, and to be able to discern between spirit and matter, all the things, neti, all these aphorisms of Vedanta, Upanishads. You are not that, you are not that, you are that. Still quite abstract. But eventually we reach a higher level of inquiry, which is Atato Rasa Jignasa. So for that we have other types of books, literature, like Srimad Bhagavatam and so many others. So Rasa is a very, well, it's a topmost experience for us. Strictly speaking, the goal of life, we say it's Prema Bhakti. But actually, Prema Bhakti is still a general idea. No, when Mahaprabhu was speaking with Ramananda Roy in South India, you know this famous conversation they had. Ramananda Samvad. It's like the Bhagavad Gita of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is said that Ramananda Roy is one manifestation of Arjuna, between other manifestations. So it is said that in Gaur Lila, you know, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So in Gaur Lila, Krishna as Mahaprabhu
Krishna Mahaprabhu
wanted to test Arjuna as Ramananda Roy
vyzkoušet Arjunu jako Ramananda Roy,
to see if he understood properly Bhagavad Gita.
aby viděl, jestli to správně pochopil.
So he started to question him.
Tak se začal ptát.
He says, please speak to me about the highest practice and goal of life.
Aby mu řekl o nejvyšší praxi a cíli duchovního života.
Sadhya, sadhana, tattva.
Sadhya, sadhana, tattva.
And sustain all your words with Shastra Praman, with words from scripture. So Ramananda starts to answer. In this case, the roles are inverted, you say, invertidos. Here, Krishna is the one asking, and Arjuna, Ramananda, is the one answering. So he starts from a very basic point, that is Dharma. So he's speaking about Varnashram, Dharma. Mahaprabhu said, that's superficial, go on. So he starts to speak about so many levels. Karma Kanda, Niskam Karma Yoga, Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, Sudha Bhakti. It's a whole journey. No? So at one point he says Prema Bhakti. So we'll think, well, Mahaprabhu will say, okay, that's it. We finish the conversation here. But no, Mahaprabhu will say, okay, we are just like entering into the real thing. Go on. So from there he starts to build his argument till he starts to speak about rasa. So it's a complex subject, I won't enter into detail now. But actually rasa is a combination of 5 ingredients, of 5 types of emotions. Try to imagine this. An emotion that is the result of 5 emotions combined. Intense, right? These emotions are called Sthai Bhav, Vibhav, Anubhav, Sattvika Bhav, Vyabhichari Bhav. And all of them have their subdivisions. The Rupa Goswami described all this in detail in Bhakti Rasamrita Singh. We have to go there for more detail. But it's a particular type of experience. Sometimes the experience is given with this sweet called rasala in India. So this sweet has camphor, yogurt, ghee, sugar, and whatever, something else I cannot remember now. So all of these ingredients have their own taste by themselves, separate. But when you combine all of them in a particular way, oh, this gives a particular, one unique particular taste. So Rupa Goswami made that analogy. So, but what's rasa tattva or knowledge about rasa? Once Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if someone says to you that he will teach you about the sadhana of rasa, that person is a cheater or a fool. No? In the sense that there is not a practice like in some weeks or days, okay, I have my rasa, or that I know my rasa. This is another topic, but actually rasa is not inherent in the jiva, but it's a result of association. We are not predestined to have a particular rasa, but that will come as a result of sadhu sangha. Because of sadhu sangha we receive the seed of bhakti initially. As they say, Chaitanya Charitamrita said, Brahmanta Brahmite Kom Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Guru is given the Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of bhakti. So eventually that seed becomes, as you know, a vine and eventually expresses as rasa. So to know rasa gyan or rasa tattva, well, may mean that you know about the ingredients that make rasa. you study about the different rasas, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. And at some stage that's an important information for some devotees. And in order to avoid what we call rasa abhas, because sometimes that can happen also. One thing is tattva, another thing is rasa. One thing is the philosophical truth, another thing is the mood, the emotional, ecstatic mood, bhava or rasa. So, for example, in tattva we agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Philosophically, we are agreed. Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. Philosophically, tattva is there. Now you go to Vrindavan and you try to tell that to Jasoda. Try to present her the concept of your son is the Supreme Godhead. Do you think she will agree? No. She will contradict the statements of the Upanishads and the Shastras. So, how to harmonize that? So there's that's the difference there is because of rasa or bhav. She has a particular emotion that takes her to see Krishna on other terms. But that's sustained in tattva also. She has the proper knowledge about philosophically who is Krishna, but that knowledge is too covered by his particular affection for Krishna. Sometimes that knowledge may come on the surface, but only to increase the emotional disposition of the Brajavasis. For example, when Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, you won't find a more Aishvarik Leela than that. A lot of power there. Imagine, 5-year-old child lifting a hill. I mean, it's overtly extraordinary. And not only lifting a hill, quite a huge hill, you know. For circumambulating Govardhan, you are like what, 6 hours walking at fast pace. And he was lifting that with his left hand, his less powerful hand, and with the less powerful finger of his less powerful hand. And not only for a while, for a week. So all that combined create a big contrast that you will start to wonder, who is this child? But the most surprising thing of all is that nobody in Vrindavan was wondering that. The most surprising thing was not that Krishna was lifting Govardhan. The most surprising thing is that every Brajavasi was not aware of, oh, he's lifting Govardhan, this must be extraordinary. No one. Yashoda was near Krishna, who was feeding, giving something to eat, thinking, oh, he must be tired of lifting the hill for 7 days, eat something. And she was sending her friends Madhu Mangal, Subha, go to Krishna and make some massage in his muscles because he must be really tired of lifting the hill. And the elders, Brajavas, were thinking, oh, he must be tired, and you see this picture, all of them with the sticks, trying to help him to sustain the hill with the stick. So you see, that makes no sense. They should be realizing that Krishna is God. But they have no mind for that. So all that opulence Krishna is showing only increases their affection for him. As a friend, as a son, as a... So after Krishna puts Govardhan back in the soil, in the ground, some Brajavasi went to Nanda Maharaj. Some For a second, some skepticism came in the mind of one Bhaktivinoda. So he asked him, well, there must be some extraordinary thing in your son. But of course, the way the Brajavasis solved that very quickly, they say, well, you know, Gargacharya, Garga Muni say when he made the name ceremony for Krishna, he will be blessed by Narayan, but God to do incredible feats. That's all, period. Another topic. No more argument, no, between them. But at one point Nanda Maharaj said, even if Krishna is God, first he's my son. Second, he's God. Try to imagine the psychology during Vrindavan. Okay, maybe Krishna is God, but first he's a Brajavasi. First he's our friend, our son, our beloved. And the most astonishing thing is that not only the Brajavasis think like that, but Krishna himself feels himself, I am a Brajavasi. That's his abhiman, his self-identity. In Vrindavan, he's not aware that he's God at all. There's one section in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, already reaching the hour, where Narad Muni goes to Krishna and he says, oh Krishna, I have one question for you. During all those leelas that you killed so many demons in Vrindavan, no, you were still a child, a baby in some cases. You killed Putana having some days only. And she was a demon woman of big, like kilometers long. So my question is, did you experience some difficulty in dealing with these demons? Such big asuras and you just a little child, some difficulty was there for you? Or some difficulty was there at that period of your life in Vrindavan? So Krishna said, no difficulty. When killing, he started to remember, Putana, Agasura, Trinavarta, no difficulty. But Narada insisted, but some difficulty, maybe? So Krishna thinks a little bit, and he said, now that you question again, yes, there was some difficulty. Sound like uncomfortable moments in that period. He said, my difficulty was at that moment when sages like you came and started to pray to me and saying, oh, Supreme God and Controller of all universes. And you started to remind me about I'm God. Well, I was in Vrindavan, totally forgotten about my Godhood. So you came and you created some difficulty by those prayers. So Narad Muni was like, sorry. So actually Krishna is not God, but God is an aspect of Krishna. We have a very particular theology. So we are not so much interested in God. In God when He's in the government house, but when God is at home, when God wants to be Himself. No? Because it's the example of the president of the states. One thing is the president in the government house, he conducts himself very formally. There is some distance there. You cannot go and embrace the president. But when the president goes back home, maybe his grandson is there waiting. And the grandson is not thinking, the president of Czech Republic is coming here.
Ten vnuk neuvažuje, že přichází prezident České republiky.
He's thinking grandpa is coming.
Si říká, přichází děda.
So he enters and the grandson jumps on the head of his grandpa.
Skočí na hlavu.
And he said, go to the floor and walk like a snake. And he's the president of the country. But the president goes to the floor and starts like to walk like this. because of the power of affection of his grandson. That affection makes the president forget he's the president. And that moment his abhiman, his identity is, I'm the grandfather of my grandson. So he's the president in one place, but he's himself at home. So the same applies to Krishna. Vishnu Narayan is God, the president, cosmic controller. But Krishna is God at home. When he forgets about his job, he is himself fully. Because of that, Prabhupada said, supreme personality of God. God has different aspects of his personality, but there's a supreme one. And supreme is connected to the word prem, supreme. Prem and su in Sanskrit means like very much. So the more the prem, the more supreme the aspect of God. And you won't find any place with higher prem than Vrindavan. So there is such a prem that Krishna's godhood, it's outside of Vrindavan. And if that appears at some point, it's only to increase the intimacy of the love there. Like this example of Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj said, okay, Krishna maybe is God, but first it's my son. So he accepted his God, but he accepted in such a way that it increases his feeling as a part of his father of Krishna. So he said, maybe Krishna is God, but first he's my son. So as a father, I will, if he needs, I will correct him, I will chastise him, I will educate him. So his Vatsalya like overflowed. So again, this is rasa consideration. But for us, in order to enter there, first we have to be firmly established in the other type of gyan, Sambandha gyan, Siddhanta, Tattva. We just cannot imitate the Brajavasis. I will forget that Krishna is God and I will relate to him as a whatever. First we have to really know how Krishna is God, in order that someday we may forget that and see him in terms of a particular rasa or loving relationship. Some words. Some words. Much more could be said, but maybe some other question is there. So we have some time. I don't know if you would like to ask something, comment something. No? We have a special prize for those who have a question. Double prasad plate. There, everyone. Yeah. Well, it seems you have to continue with your questions.
In this point of Ramananda Samad, you speak the one consideration that Ramananda Roy is Arjuna, and you nicely explain in the point of Bhagavad Gita and this teaching and this Jnana Tattva. And in the consideration, it's also that Ramananda is Vishaka. It's like more like Rasatattva. It's Govinda Swami giving this point that he fell down on his head when he see the form like this.
The darshan
that he's
of Mahaprabhu.
darshan, and because he's Vishaka and never see such union like this. You can take, because it's different opinion. One is actually everything going together, but one is, as you said, Arjuna, and another is Vishaka, and there is. You can speak a little bit about this.
Yeah.
Or explain the point. You explain the Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, and also this point of Vishaka.
Okay. So on one side we have that Arjuna is considered, Ramananda Roy is considered Arjuna. This was said by Mahaprabhu himself when he met Bhavananda Roy, who is the father of Ramananda Roy. He said, "You are Pandu, and your 5 sons are the Pandavas." And in that context, he mentioned Ramananda Arjuna. But on the other side, we find in another text, like, I don't know, Gorganu Devshadipika and others, where they describe who is who in Krishna Lila and Gaur Lila. Ramananda is described as Vishaka. Even in some other books, to further complicate the issue, it is said that Ramananda is Lalita. Main opinion is Vishaka, but I read here and there some Lalita opinion, and even some fourth opinion, speaking about him being a gopi called Arjuniya Gopi. Sometimes things are not so simple. So we may ask, well, how to understand that? Is he only one of those identities, all of them? So first of all, we should understand that we are speaking about Nitya Parishats, or eternal associates. So generally these Nitya Parishats are jivas, but they are constituted from a different energy. They are not Tatastha jivas. Yesterday we spoke about Tatastha Shakti. And generally we say, okay, jivas come from that energy, not planet energy. Come, are made of. But there's also the existence of jivas who are made of another Shakti. Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti jivas. Sometimes it is said the eternally liberated souls are coming from Balaram, and the eternally conditioned souls come from Mahavishnu. This is clearly explained by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbhas. Bhagavad Sandarbha and especially Paramatma Sandarbha. Actually, how our source, if you will, is Mahavishnu. And one little thing connected to yesterday, and I continue. And sometimes when we hear that we come from this some sort of homogeneous situation, from homogeneity to heterogeneity to individuality, and sometimes that's understood as Brahman. Actually, that's referring to the state of the jiva inside Mahavishnu. When Mahavishnu is in Susupti, in his mystical dream, between the different creational cycles, when one creational cycle finishes, all the jivas that are still there without obtaining mukti enter into Mahavishnu till the next exhalation. So that state there inside Mahavishnu is a temporary merging there. And it is said that at that moment the experience of being there is almost identical to the experience of attaining Brahman. And because of that, some acharyas have described them almost as identical. But well, that's only one mention regarding yesterday's topic. But the point is that Ramananda Roy is a Swarup Shakti Jiva. So if a soul is made of Swarup Shakti, it presents different possibilities than a Tatastha Jiva. Even we, being Tatastha Jivas, when we associate with Swarup Shakti, with Bhakti, we have the potential to, for example, develop two identities. That's mentioned in the scriptures. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about that in Navadvip Bhavataranga, and so many others. The point is, in this life, if we worship Mahaprabhu and Krishna, and we develop an affinity towards Krishna Lila in Vrindavan and Gaur Lila in Navadvip, when we reach perfection in our practice, in this lifetime or whenever, we will acquire two different eternal identities. In one we will be serving Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. The other we will be serving Mahaprabhu in Nitya Navadvip. So try to imagine, even us have the potential to have two identities. And we are Tatastha Jivas, infinitesimal Jivas. So, what to speak of eternal associates who are composed of a different Shakti, Swarup Shakti. So much more opportunities there. So ideally, if you hear that Ramananda Roy is three persons at the same time, there shouldn't be a problem. Because Swarup Shakti can accommodate all this variety. So I wouldn't connect this point of Arjuna and Vishaka to the idea of Gyan or Rasa. I wouldn't do that. Because that's not necessarily connected. In both cases there is a type of Gyan and there is a type of Rasa. So, and I would say also that Ramananda Roy is mainly identified with Visakha, Gopi. And he also is identified with Arjuna, but mainly because of this exchange that Mahaprabhu had with Ramananda, like the parallel of the Bhagavad Gita there. But we know as the Gaur Lila goes on, especially in the Ante Lila of Mahaprabhu, when he enters the Gambhira during his last 12 years, he's no longer a public figure there. He doesn't go out from the Gambhira. And at that point he's only with Swarup Damodar and Ray Ramananda. Why? Because remember, Mahaprabhu is Krishna trying to taste Radha Bhava. So in his last years, he's systematically absorbed in doing that. No more preaching, no more public chanting, no more instructing others, just focused in his prime purpose of descending. So for Krishna to taste that love, he needs the assistance of the two closest friends of Radha. And they are Lalita and Vishaka, of course. Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy. So they are next to Krishna, to Mahaprabhu, assisting him. And where is Srimati Radharani in all this? Who is Srimati Radharani in Gaur Lila? Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit has totally disappeared in the background at that point. That's another topic, very interesting, very esoteric. But how, as Mahaprabhu progresses in his tasting of Radha Bhav, Gadadhar Pandit recedes to the background. Because Gadadhar is Sri Radha giving her own bhav to Krishna in doses, in quotes, because it's too intense. No? So when at the end, Mahaprabhu, at the end of his lila, he tastes fully Radha Bhav, he's bathing himself in the glory of his attainment. Gadadhar Pandit has totally disappeared in total Gopinath in Puri. Because at that point Gadadhar is Radharani herself totally emptying herself, so Krishna can have her full experience. So actually, properly understood, the position of Gadadhar Pandit is much more glorious than that of Mahaprabhu. His level of abnegation, giving himself fully, so Mahaprabhu can taste. That's a very important, interesting point. And in that sense, Gadadhar Pandit is the most important figure of all Gaur Lila. But paradoxically, it's the figure that you heard the less about. So he or she, no, Radharani Gadadhar, is totally in the background, but allowing the whole main purpose of Gaur Lila going on. And he has to be at a distance because Mahaprabhu is Krishna wanting to be Radha. So of course, if Radha is there, that will remind Krishna, oh, here is Radha, and I am Krishna. But Mahaprabhu is Krishna wanting to be Radha. So Radharani has to be at some distance. And she allows that. And she serves Krishna in that special mood. That's a very confidential type of worship. Bhaktivinoda Thakur worship Gaur Gadadhar in God's room. And other acharyas like Bhakti Paramadvaiti Maharaj also say, if you want to enter into the worship of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, you have to go through the worship of Gaur Gadadhar in Navadvip as well. So, Shri Shri Gaur Gadadhar ki. Some ideas regarding the question. Something else? Just starting. Question, topic, or whatever. Yeah, people from Czech Republic are really shy. Already 3 days, but still some more time is required.
What would you say is the main inspiration for you to live the way of life you live?
Again, the first part, I heard the last one. But
the main inspiration for you to live the way of life you are living.
What do you mean by my way of life? As a sannyasi or as a devotee or as something in particular?
Take it as you want.
Sorry?
Take it as you wish.
Okay. I just wanted to know if there was some specific idea there. Okay.
My main concern was the devotee, not the sannyasi.
Yeah,
Take it
that's the main thing, of course. Sannyasi is secondary consideration. Well, we enter into the testimony section. That is nice. I will speak about me, but actually I won't speak about me. I will speak about how divine grace affected my life.
Božská milost ovlivnila moji
It's a way of glorifying
to je způsob
Krishna and Vaishnavas.
oslavování Krišny Vašnavu.
Actually, I am only a byproduct of the mercy of my guardians. That's how I choose to conceive myself. I am only the result of the mercy of my guardians. There is no personal merit there. So what took me to choose the life I'm taking? Well, personally I feel this is not the first lifetime I'm practicing. I feel it. And again, by saying that, I'm not saying I'm special. Because if I started practicing in some previous lifetime, it was because of the grace of someone. So I'm saying that because I may say in this lifetime what took me to practice was maybe things that happened in the previous lifetime. But anyway, besides that point, well, I was really in a big existential crisis in my teenage years. So I was not able to function at all, apart from solving that crisis. I really found no meaning in life apart from knowing the meaning of life. So I was really hungering for answers. And at that time, 20 years ago, there was no internet. It sounds like Satya Yuga. Only 20 years ago. So you were not able to go to Google and put existential crisis, how to solve it. So I was trying to find whatever was on my way, some books, some people, some places, grabbing here and there. So well, eventually, I'm making a long story short because so many chapters are there. So finally, I got in touch with one book. It was not written by Gaudiya Vaishnava. It was written by Joseph Campbell. He's a famous, not Indologist, but someone who studies a lot myths and religions like this. So in this book he was narrating Damodar Lila and many other Eastern myths, if you will, to call myths or stories. He called them. So from there, with one friend of mine, became very much attracted to that Krishna. So, well, eventually, as I said the other day, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita came to me and to my friend as well, and that really was like the turning point. Before and after that, and also in the midst of that, I remember chanting myself Harinam, but I didn't have Japamala. I went to the rooftop in the flat I was living, where there is this strings where people put the clothes to dry, and I cut one. I started to make knots. I was not able to make the 108. Hopefully 54, I don't remember. And also I remember chanting in one moment, and I still remember that in my room, in my house, I received some, I don't know how to describe it in words, but this was a real, absolute confirmation. So I was not able to realize what's going on here. So after that, similar happened when I get Bhagavad Gita. After that, eventually I went to the temple. So first time I was entering the temple, walking the stairs. First floor was the temple at that time. Some unexpected sensation invaded me. And the sensation was, you are arriving home. Not in words, but sensation. This is home. very overwhelming. So many confirmations, no? And of course, I entered the temple and I confirmed, yes, this is home. Eventually, after some months, I met my Guru Maharaj. Again, some confirmation there. I remember receiving his first embrace. And again, some overwhelming feeling came. And I have this idea of, I would like to remain forever in this embrace. So, of course, all the things were creating some impact in me. And as much as I go, and as much as I went deep into the teachings, into the association, I only received further and further confirmations of where I was. And I really like also to learn and read from many traditions. So in that sense, I put myself to test by getting in touch with different teachings and teachers. But as much as I appreciated them, it increased at the same time my attachment to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So, actually my feeling is, I have received such a gift. It's a costless gift. It's not my merit, it's not my capacity. I never did anything to be able to deserve that. And I'm not able, even though if I may do so many things, I will never be able to deserve that. Of course, it doesn't mean that I won't do anything. But even though, as much as I may do, as much as I may sacrifice myself, the gift increases. So my debt increases. By the increasing of that debt with the higher plane is what is saving me from the karmic debt from the lower plane. So you choose to have a debt with this world or to have a debt with the other world. So actually I feel what I have received is so noble, it's such a high idea. It has come to me in such a generous disposition. And no matter how much I afford myself to escape from that, the gift is still there. Because sometimes the divine grace comes to us and we are very expert to escape from grace. To have apathy for grace, to be indifferent to it. But no matter how expert we are from escaping from that, that grace is still there, always. There won't be a day that you will see Gopinath without playing his flute. There won't be a day. It's not that one day Krishna was tired, I'm not calling you anymore. No. So, he's always calling us. Mahaprabhu is always inviting us with his mudra. No? This mudra from top to... Radharani is always giving mercy. So, that department is always open. So I felt myself, so many times I have failed. So many times I have gone against mercy. And still there that mercy is offering itself to me. So that's too much. So naturally I felt a bigger and bigger depth in that direction. And when I appreciate the sadhu sangha that I had received in this life, and so many incredible devotees that have graced my existence, I cannot conceive of doing something else from trying to reciprocate to them. I mean, what they have given me is so special that I cannot conceive living my life apart from that. That would be very ungrateful. So, and again, if I feel all these things, it's by the grace that has come to me, not by myself separate from that grace. Because I know who I can be separate from grace. You stop chanting your round from some days and you will know that quickly. Try to escape from the shelter of the divine, and immediately you found the ordinary side of yourself. So that ordinary side, I feel that's no longer representing me. Maybe that's still there on some level, but I don't want to be identified with that anymore, because I have received a new identity from the Vaishnavas, the identity of the servant. So I want to focus my life in that direction. Even though it may be difficult, and even though I may fail so many times again, but my hope is that Mahaprabhu, Sri Guru, Vaishnavas, they are not judging me nor us according to what we did in the past. So that's like big relief. And they are not judging us according to we are still in the present. So that's double big relief, at least for me. They are only considering us according to which is our ideal in the future. They are only considering us according to what we want to become. So that's a very generous approach. Try to imagine. In this world, people judge you because something you did 25 years ago. And they will say, yes, I know you. You did this 25 years ago. I know you. No chance of improving, of changing. That's not generous. But the higher plane, the sadhus, they are not looking at who we were and who we are, but who we can be. They are only seeing our potential. They are not seeing any other thing. Try to imagine how generous is that I. Because so many faults are still here. But Sri Guru looks at me and he's not looking my faults, but he's looking my potential as a servant, as a lover. He's trying to nurture that. Yes, maybe he looks at the other thing, tries to arrange something, mainly identify with who you can become. So that's what we call unconditional love. Unconditional love means I love you no matter how disastrous you are yet. I love you with the disaster included. Generally for us it's very difficult in this world to... Once one devotee said this, I like this theory, very interesting. he said,
které se mi líbí,
why it's so difficult for us
obtížné pro nás
to recognize our mistakes.
uznat vlastní chyby.
That's difficult.
To je obtížné,
Generally, it's not easy for us to ourselves recognize our own mistakes.
abychom sami uznali své vlastní chyby.
And he said something very interesting.
Takže to je
He said, it's difficult for us to recognize our mistakes
obtížné poznat vlastní chyby.
because we are in a world
Teď jsme ve světě,
where someone will love you
kdy nás někdo bude milovat,
only if you are perfect.
pokud jste dokonalí.
So if you have some mistake,
Pokud máte nějakou chybu,
it means nobody will love me
znamená, že vás nebude milovat.
and I will remain alone,
Já tu budu sám.
and nobody wants that.
Mě to nechce.
So we are so much afraid
Protože se tolik bojíme,
of not being loved
abychom nebyli milováni,
that we do not want to recognize our mistakes.
nechceme uznat vlastní chyby.
We want to show ourselves perfect in the world,
Chceme se představovat světu jako dokonalý.
but that's not real. We have mistakes.
Reálné, my máme chyby.
So the point is that in this world we only find conditional love.
Znamená, že v tomto světě nacházíme pouze podmíněnou milost.
Conditional love means I love you with conditions.
To milost, že tě miluji s nějakým podmínkou.
A big contract is there with many points.
Smlouva ohledně nějakých věcí.
I will love you if
Budu vás milovat, když
I will love you if you go with the contract, the conditions, I love you.
budeš plnit tu smlouvu, tak tě budu milovat.
But that's superficial
A to je
and that won't last too long.
to nedlouho nevydrží.
So the real thing is unconditional love.
Skutečná věc je nepodmíněná.
Unconditional love is I will love you right now. I won't wait till you are perfect.
Znamená, že tě budu milovat teď, nebo čekat, až budeš dokonalý.
It's easy to love someone if it's perfect.
Je snadné milovat někoho, když je dokonalý.
The real challenge is
Ale
love someone with imperfection.
výzva je milovat někoho s nedokonalostí.
Jesus Christ said, love your enemies,
Ježíš Kristus říkal, milujte své nepřátele,
because it's easy to love your friends.
takže je snadné milovat přátele.
And real challenge is love your enemy.
Milovat nepřátele.
So unconditional love means someone is loving us,
Podmíněná láska je, že nás někdo miluje,
but we didn't do anything to deserve that love.
jsme si to ničím nezasloužili.
But that love is still coming.
Ale ta láska stejně přichází.
So naturally that will touch your heart.
Se dotkne vašeho srdce přirozeně.
Not only touch, but hopefully melt your heart.
Nejen dotkne, ale doufujeme, že
And,
rozpustí vaše srdce.
and with time, that love is still coming.
No, ta láska stále přichází.
And maybe you are still imperfect on certain level.
Stále jste dokonalí.
But since that love is still coming,
Protože ta láska stále přichází,
that love will be the inspiration for you to change your imperfections.
ta bude příležitostí, inspirací, jak změnit
So-
své dokonalosti.
So now I am pretty imperfect,
Takže já jsem dostatečně nedokonalý.
but if I have transcended some imperfections,
Pokud jsem nějaké nedokonalosti překonal,
it's because of the unconditional love I received
tak je to díky té podmíněné lásce, kterou jsem získal.
during those imperfect times.
V nedokonalých časech.
No? But I personally feel eternally inducted in that direction.
Já se v tomto ohledu cítím většině zavázaný.
So no matter what I can do, the debt will be always there, fortunately.
Naštěstí ten dluh bude vždycky, jak dělám, co dělám.
But I hopefully will try my best in order to repay something of what I have received.
Snažit maximálně o to, abych ho snažil zkrátit.
Even though it's not possible to fully pay back that.
To není plně možné zkrátit.
What we spoke in the beginning, no? Some sort of dissatisfaction.
Nebo nějaký druh nespokojenosti.
Krishna himself said that to the Brajavasis in the Bhagavatam.
Rajabasi Bhagavatam.
Naparayaham nirabadya sandujam sasadu kritam vibudaya sapiva jamavajan durjara geha shrinkala samvrishvatat ba pratiyatu sadhana. It's a very nice verse from the Bhagavatam. And Krishna says to the gopis, actually the love you have for me,
Láska, kterou máte ke mně,
I cannot repay back that.
já ji nemohu zkrátit.
Wow. Krishna is contradicting himself.
Krishna sám sebe
Because in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yayata mam prapadanti tam stataiva vajamyaham. According to how you worship me, I will reciprocate. But we are no longer in the Bhagavad Gita, we are in the Bhagavatam now. So, higher level. And there Krishna says to the gopis, I cannot repay back your love now.
Krishna říká, že jako tím, že nemůže jejich lásku oplatit.
Because it's so high
Je tak vysoká,
that actually I not only I cannot pay back, but I want to taste that.
nemohu oplatit, ale já chci vychutnat.
So I do not have a reward for your love,
Nemám žádnou odměnu.
but actually your love is the reward.
Vaše láska je sama odměna.
So Krishna ended with this famous quote, let your love be its own reward.
Krishna skončil s tímto slovním výrokem, že ať vaše láska je svou vlastní odměnou.
So Krishna himself felt eternally indebted to the Brajavasis.
Krishna sám se cítil věčně zavázaný Brajavasím.
And he, due to their unconditional love, because Krishna feels like that. He feels, I've done so many mistakes, I've left Vrindavan, and they still love me. I promise I will be back in 2 days, but never return. But their love for me increased more and more. So, I mean, I'm a criminal, says Krishna. It is said that when Krishna spoke this verse, I quoted, he appeared with his yellow chadar above his head and neck. So at that moment, that symbolized in India a criminal wears that clothes like that. So imagine Krishna presented himself as a criminal before the gopis. I say something, I didn't do that, and so many other things I did, and you still love me. And you still love me more and more and more. So Krishna felt himself indebted. And also Mahaprabhu is an attempt to solve that debt in some degree. Because of that, in that verse, Krishna says, so sadhu kritam, I will descend in Kali Yuga as a sadhu. Krishna says to the gopis, I will come as a sadhu, Mahaprabhu, and I will try to preach the glories of your love to the world. And he said to Srimati Radharani, I will try to make devotees of you. And that will be my humble attempt in trying to repay this debt, something like this. So Krishna comes as Mahaprabhu to experience Radha Bhav and to preach the glories of the love of the Brajavasis. Mahaprabhu is Krishna trying to solve his debt, to pay something of the debt. But the point is, whatever Krishna gives to the Brajavasis, immediately Brajavasis take that and transform that in an offering of service to Krishna. So Krishna finds himself more and more indebted. He said once to the gopis, for example, you only love me, but I have so many devotees, and I have to reciprocate to all. My friends, to my parents, to my cows, to devotees in another places, out of Vrindavan. So I'm in some way somehow diluted. But you are not divided at all. You are totally focused on me. So your love for me is higher than my love for you. Of course, when Radharani hears that, she will say, no, it's not like that. I do not love you, she says to Krishna. Because I have been in separation from you and I'm still alive. So that's the proof I do not love you. If I really will love you, I will have died in separation. So in this way, both parties express their unconditional love. And both parties feel, actually I do not have love. You will never hear that Krishna says to Radharani, I love you, or Radharani says to Krishna, I love you.
Když slyšíte, že Kršna a Radha se navzájem říkají, já tě miluji.
Both of them feel, I don't love you, but I would like to love you.
Cítí, já tě nemiluji, ale chtěl bych tě milovat.
Actually, they love each other,
Oni se navzájem milují.
but again, the nature of love is such
Jeho láska je taková,
that it's always increasing.
že neustále roste.
So the scriptures say, the one who has love
Že ten, kdo miluje,
will feel he has no love.
cítí, že žádnou lásku nemá.
And the one who has no love
Ten, kdo nemá lásku,
will feel I have love.
si bude říkat, já lásku mám.
So in this way, I feel very fortunate, very blessed.
Cítím velice požehnaný.
And that's what keeps me going day after day.
Udržuje, že pokračuje den za dnem.
And of course, not every day is the same.
Ne každý den stejný.
There are problems,
Jsou problémy.
there are ups and downs.
Nahoru.
You have to be honest and realistic.
Jsem realistický.
Of course, some devotees may have different problems than the other, each one with their own samskaras.
Protože každý od má jiné samskary, takže může mít problémy.
But that's there as part of the devotional life of the devotee. There's no problem in admitting that.
Devocionální život, a nejsou problémy.
We are not here to make a show of perfection.
Chceme tady stírat nějakou dokonalost.
Srila Maharaj will say perfection is more like a demand of the ego.
Dokonalost je něco jako požadavek ega.
The heart doesn't demand perfection.
Srdce nevyžaduje dokonalost.
Unconditional love doesn't demand perfection.
Nepovinná láska nevyžaduje.
So our path is in the heart, not from the ego. So we have to remember that over and over again.
Musíme stále připomínat.
I am being loved despite my present imperfection.
Jsem milován bez ohledu na mé současné nedostatky.
So if we are really sincere about that, we will immediately feel inspired to continue. No matter which obstacle, and I know sometimes there can be really complex situations in life, but what to do? We have to continue. And nothing so high has come in our lives as Krishna consciousness. So we should never leave that in some way or another. We may externally, for some reason, sometimes become, I've known cases of devotees, become some distance. But internally, Krishna is very tricky and won't leave us so easy. I remember once I was some more minutes than I think. Once I was in Chile, and I was in the street distributing Bhagavad Gitas, golden brahmachari years, in the buses actually distributing. So I was in the street and someone said the classical, no? Haribol. Actually, many times I hear Haribol and actually no one is saying Haribol. I think if someone that happened to some of you also? Okay, I'm not the only mad one. So actually I got close to some person like 50, 60 years old. He was selling these, I don't know, art crafts like earrings and like stuff that people do with themselves. And I said, oh, you know the devotees. He said, yes, I'm Prabhupada's disciple. Okay. So we start to speak, of course. And of course, externally, he was not officially connected to the practice for some years. He shared to me the situations that took him in that direction and so on. But he remained very favorable, of course. Well, we spoke for a while, and I was leaving. So he called me and said, but I have to say you one thing. No, he really looked straight to my eyes. And his eyes became like moistened with tears. And he said, no matter what you do, you will never be able to forget Krishna. No? So that's our fortune.
To
Once.
je naše štěstí.
Of course, we shouldn't exploit that.
Bychom neměli nějak zneužívat.
But that's our hope.
To je naše naděje.
Once Srila Sri Maharaj told a very nice story. He said there were two policemen in India,
Byli dva policisté.
in Vrindavan actually. And one policeman said to the other one,
Jeden mu řekl druhému.
well, I think it's a problem that our God is a thief,
Říkám si, asi je problém, že náš Bůh je zloděj.
because we are policemen.
Že jsme policisté.
We are against crime.
Jsme proti kriminalitě.
But our God is stealing,
Náš Bůh krade.
is lying,
Takže
as he say, is a playboy,
playboy.
transcendental, but playboy.
Transcendentální.
So, but especially he was speaking about this stealing issue.
Hlavně už o to zlodějnu.
So the other policemen say, no problem.
Ne, to není problém.
Actually, that's our greatest fortune.
To je naše nejvyšší požehnání štěstí.
Why?
Proč?
Because a good thief,
Že dobrý zloděj,
if he really wants to go to what he wants to obtain, to the reward,
pokud chce něco získat,
no matter if there are high walls,
tak tam je spousta překážek, vysoké zdi,
locked doors,
zamčené dveře.
he will manage to get what he wants.
Dostane k tomu, co chce.
A good thief.
Dobrý zloděj.
And Krishna is a good thief.
Krishna je dobrý zloděj.
And those high walls and locked doors,
Ty vysoké zdi a zamčené dveře
those things we have established around our heart.
jsme si postavili jako z našeho srdce.
But Krishna is such a good thief
Krishna je dobrý zloděj.
that he will go over that and he will get to our
A
heart.
to překoná, dostane se do našeho srdce.
That's our hope.
Naše naděje.
Even though we have constructed so many obstacles in the way,
Jsme si postavili do cesty tolik překážek.
our hope is that Krishna is a thief.
Naše naděje je, že Krishna je zloděj.
So every time we say Hari Bol,
Kdykoliv řekneme Haribol,
you have to be aware of what that means.
si musíme vědět, co to znamená.
Hari Bol means you are calling the thief to come.
To znamená, že voláme zloděje vyhřešně.
So be prepared for the consequences of that.
Takže buďte připraveni na následky, co to bude znamenat.
So because of that we say Hari Bol as much as we can.
Takže
Call him the thief.
Haribol co nejvíc, bychom zavolali.
So that should, ideally I think that should be our attitude.
Ideálně náš
What,
postoj.
what has come to my life is so incredible
Co přišlo do mého života tak neuvěřitelným způsobem,
that even if I have to wait for
že když musím
thousands of lifetimes
tisíce životů,
to properly serve that,
abych tomu správně sloužil,
I should be ready for doing that. No problem.
měl tomu být připraven.
Because sometimes one devotee asks Srila Sri Maharaj, how many lifetimes will it take to reach to Golok Vrindavan?
Kolik životů bude trvat?
Particular questions.
Vrindavan?
So he said, well,
Řekl,
if you start in this lifetime
začneš na to životě
and you're practicing really nicely,
a pěkně praktikuješ,
maybe 2-3 lifetimes.
možná 2-3 životy.
So some devotees may say, 2-3 lifetimes?
2-3 životy?
It sounds like too much.
Ne jako dost dlouho.
But if you really appreciate
Ale pokud skutečně oceníte,
what's the gift given by Mahaprabhu,
Mahaprabhu,
2-3 lifetimes is
2-3
nothing.
životy není nic.
After so many unlimited lifetimes wandering here and there in this world,
V tomto světě,
to be able to receive the highest treasure of divine love in such a time,
schopnost získat
we should be ready for that and more.
nejvyšší. Měli připraven.
One more story and I close my discourse.
Příběh a skončí.
A very nice lila
Velice pěkná díla.
connected to Mahaprabhu
Souvislosti s Mahaprabhu.
and Mukunda, famous Kirtaniya from Mahaprabhu's group, singer, dancer. So once it seems that once Mukunda did something that displeased Mahaprabhu. Now he got some bad association there. No, he was not affected, Mukunda, but that set not a nice example for the rest. So Mahaprabhu was not pleased and he chastised Mukunda. What was the chastisement? He forbid Mukunda of having his daily darshan. So now try to imagine what that means.
dispozici, co znamená.
First of all, try to imagine what does it mean to really see Mahaprabhu.
Zaprvé si představit, co znamená skutečně vidět Mahaprabhu.
And after that, try to imagine what does it mean to, after really seeing him, stop seeing him.
Přesvědčit, nebo představit, co vlastně znamená, poté, co jste ho viděli, pak už ho nevidět.
That's too much intense.
To je velice intenzivní věc.
We hear about this when the devotee really see the Lord and Lord disappears. Oh.
Oni vidí Pána a skutečně intenzivně potom Pán zmizí.
They are thrown in an ocean of desperation.
Jsou uvažení do oceánu zármutku.
And actually, it is said that in higher stages, Krishna will give darshan to the devotee. Vishwanath explains that, Vishwanath Chakravarti in the Madhurya Kadambini. Baba stage mainly, Krishna will give darshan to the devotee and he will disappear. But he will do that, confirmed, he will do that in order to throw the devotee in an ocean of desperation, so he may develop the required hankering to finally obtain him forever. So in this case, Mukunda is an eternal associate of Mahaprabhu. But here in the Bhoma Lila, in the earthly Lila, he forbid him. No? He said, no more association. So Mukunda was totally devastated. He was in his house, thrown on the floor, crying a pool of tears. And the only thing he could think about is when I will see Mahaprabhu again. There was no other meaning to life apart from that. When I will see the Lord of my life again. My Praneshwar, my Prananath. That means the Lord of my prana. Prana means vital air. Breathing. The Lord of my breathing. I only breathe for him. So now that I cannot see him, my breathing is stopping. My life is leaving me. But Mahaprabhu, externally Mahaprabhu behaved in a very strict way. It seemed even cruel. But there was some teaching there. So the other devotees of Mahaprabhu were the ones who intercede, you say? Intercede between one and the other? So they were suffering so much for seeing Mukunda's suffering. So daily they were visiting Mukunda and sharing the news of Mahaprabhu's Leelas. So that gave some life air to Mukunda. But at one point, after some days, Mukunda again had only one question in mind. And he presented that question to the devotees. So he said to the devotees, can you please ask something to Mahaprabhu in my name? And they said, yes, of course. Okay, so please ask him when he will give me again his darshan. That's the only thing that concerns me in this life. Okay, the devotee say, we will ask that. So they returned to Mahaprabhu's quarters, and they told him, we are just returning from Mukunda's place. So Mahaprabhu very seriously said, what does he want? Oof. So the devotees were like, so he has a question. Mahaprabhu looking into another direction. What? So the devotees were there. Mahaprabhu, what? He wants to know where you will give him your darshan again. So Mahaprabhu said, in a million lifetimes. Like very seriously. So the devotees were totally struck. Because they understood, I mean, if we say that to Mukunda, we'll kill him, basically. So, and he's waiting for our answer. So we have to go and we have to give the answer, and we will kill him. And none of us want to kill Mukunda. So they were in this dilemma
v tomto dilematu,
when they were going back to Mukunda's place.
když šli zpátky za Mukundu,
So finally they reached there,
přišli tam,
and Mukunda was lying on the ground again
ležel na
in
zemi,
agony, waiting for the answer.
čekal na odpověď.
So on the way the devotees were saying, you tell him, no, not me.
Ty mu to řekneš.
You kill him. I don't want to kill Mukunda. No. So finally they arrived, and Mukunda looked at them and asked
Podíval a řekl,
the question,
dotaz,
did you ask Mahaprabhu?
zeptejte se
And they said yes.
Ano,
And did he answer something?
odpověděl mi.
Yes. But they didn't want to tell.
Ano,
So-
chcete říct?
What did he answer?
Chcete dát odpověď?
So they were looking between the. Finally, someone says, someone
Někdo řekl,
said, he said that he will give you again his darshan
že ti dá opět darshan
in a million lifetimes.
za milion životů.
So all of them were like expecting the greatest tragedy there.
Čekal
Like
tu největší tragédii.
they say that, and they like, what will happen now?
Zakrýval jeho oči a to, co se stane.
But Mukunda reacted in a very particular way.
Tomu se zachoval úplně zvláštně.
So he started to jump and dance
Skákat a tancovat,
and celebrate.
slavit.
Jai Mahaprabhu, Jai Gaur Haribo, and dancing and chanting. So the devotees were like astonished.
Byli překvapeni.
So I started to wonder, maybe he didn't hear the answer properly.
Možná neslyšel tu odpověď správně.
Maybe he heard 1 week
Jsem slyšel jeden týden.
or 1 million milliseconds.
Milion milisekund.
So they tell again to Mukunda, Mukunda,
Opět.
1 million lifetimes.
Milion životů.
Like implying you shouldn't be celebrating that. You should be dying.
Říct, že by to měli nějak slavit a měli by jako spíš umírat.
And Mukunda kept singing and dancing.
Pokračoval
And he said, no, I heard properly.
Ne, já jsem slyšel dobře.
And he said, but what's 1 million lifetimes compared to regaining Mahaprabhu's darshan?
A co to je milion životů ve srovnání s tím, že získal Mahaprabhu darshan.
There's no point of comparison.
To se nedá srovnat.
If to reobtain Mahaprabhu's darshan, I have to wait 1 million lifetimes.
Jako další darshan Mahaprabhu mám počkat.
That's a pretty cheap price to pay.
Tak to je velice levná cena.
I'm totally ready to pay that price.
Já jsem velice
He continued dancing.
zaplatil tam
I will pay that price 1 million lifetimes singing and dancing, celebrating that future opportunity. So the devotees returned to Mahaprabhu's quarters. And even though Mahaprabhu was pretending to be angry,
Přestože Mahaprabhu předstíral, že
actually he was waiting to hear the
v
news
skutečnosti chtěl slyšet tu zprávu
about how
o tom, jak
Mukunda reacted.
Mukunda zareagoval.
So the devotees came and Mahaprabhu looked at them. So, you went to see Mukunda?
Přišli a podívali se na něj a
He was-
se Mukundou.
Pretending to be a little angry yet, a little bit, not so much like before.
Že je trochu jako rozlobený, ale ne moc.
Yes, Mukunda, yes. So, and what did he say? No, he was like, the devotees said no. He started to dance, celebrate,
Začal stančit a slavit.
and he said 1 million lifetime, that's nothing,
Milion životů není nic.
in order to regain your darshan.
Že aby získal tu darshan.
So Mahaprabhu heard that answer.
Takže to má vlastně.
I said, bring Mukunda immediately here right now.
Přines člověk ten Mukundu sem okamžitě.
The million lifetimes is over.
Milion životů už je pryč. Úplně.
Because Krishna is time, no? He says in Bhagavad Gita, Kalosmi, I am time. So, since he's time, maybe for him 1 million lifetime is 1 second. He can move time as he wants.
Časem manipulovat jak chce.
So this is the teaching of this nice lila.
Učili jsme to pěkné lily.
Mukunda was really appreciating
Mukunda ocenil.
the darshan of Mahaprabhu is such a thing that 1 million lifetime waiting for that. I'm ashamed to wait so little for that. That was his real feeling. 1 million lifetime, only that? Oh, I feel ashamed to just only pay that price. But sometimes we in our daily life became so impatient. But some fool stupid thing, we want to leave the whole practice.
zanechal veškeré praxi.
We are already thinking about something else, what will replace Krishna now.
A přemýšlíme, co znám nahradí Krishnu.
So we should become stronger in our emotions, in our faith. So we should develop our loyalty, our chastity toward the gift of Mahaprabhu. And eventually be ready to pay whatever price Destiny or Krishna wants to ask for us. Actually, if we are humble, we will always feel it's never enough what I can pray. But of course I will try to do my best and pay as much as I can back. That's the point. But it will never be enough. Taktenu kampam susamiksa mano bunjane badma kritam vipakam hridbadva purvi vidadan namaste jiveta jumukti padesaraiva. Famous verse from the Bhagavad. Brahma says, someone who really is looking for your mercy, really looking for your mercy, when that person is receiving the reactions from his previous misdeeds, that person will happily receive that reaction in their life, your real devotee. And while they're receiving that, they're tolerating that, and meanwhile they're singing your glories and glorifying you. Because they feel, actually, I have been so sinful that the reaction that should be coming will be much bigger than what's coming now in front of me. So actually, whatever is coming to me is not what I should receive. If karma is coming, Krishna has made such a generous arrangement and reduced my karmic debt to this. To this. Whatever is coming is just this. And whatever mercy is coming, it should be this, because I have no personal merit, but it's this. So I have no reason to quejarme, complain. There's no reason for complaint. There's all reason to be grateful. If we are real, sincere and humble, we'll feel that whatever is coming to my life, call it karma, call it mercy, in both cases it's something that is beyond what I deserve. I deserve bigger karma and lesser mercy. But mercy is such that it's not counting of what I deserve, it's just giving. That's the nature of Mahaprabhu, especially Nityananda Prabhu. He will feel especially attracted to our lack of qualification. But that's not an excuse to remain unqualified. But that's the reason for becoming inspired to become ourselves better devotees. So, something like that is what keeps me today now here speaking with you. I'm trying every day after day after day doing that. I'm projecting myself into eternity, only doing that, hopefully. By the blessings of the Vaishnava, so please bless me so I can maintain that ideal in my life. As Srila Maharaj very nicely said, we are just a medium to our ideal, a means to the ideal. So some ideal has knocked on my door. I opened the door. I didn't expect that ideal, but when I enter in touch with that, I cannot but accept that. I think that happened to all of us in some way or another.
vlastně děje každému z nás, tak čím
Maybe it was not our intention to become Gaudiya Vaishnavas,
nebylo naším záměrem stát se Gaudiya Vaishnavy.
but suddenly we found ourselves jumping and singing in the kirtan.
Zjistili, že jsme v kirtanu, tančíme a zpíváme.
And you realize, how did I arrive here?
Jsem se tady vlastně,
It was not a plan I designed.
to jsem si nenaplánoval něco.
So that's what we call costless mercy.
To by si dalo rozličná věc.
It was not my plan, I'm here,
Můj plán,
but now that I'm here,
a nyní jsem zde,
I realize I don't want to leave.
kam si nechci odejít. Ne?
So, can please I stay here? And of course,
Mohu zde zůstat?
Mahaprabhu Nityananda Prabhu Gurudev will say,
A Mahaprabhu Nityananda Prabhu
that's why I knocked your door. To invite you to some place that is, as Prabhupada say, a house where the whole world can live eternally. So basically that we are very fortunate, we should be always remembering that. Mahabhagya. Actually we should feel ourselves, I'm the most fortunate person on the whole world. Each of you and each of us should be feeling that. I'm the most fortunate person in the whole common universe. Because that's real. I mean, it's not some imagination. If you put things in the scale, what has come to your life, what did you do to deserve that and all that, you will reach that conclusion. And after concluding that, you will be jumping and celebrating that fortune. And only thinking, how can I reciprocate, how can I serve, how can I love more. But sometimes we are a little weak and we forget these things. And because of that, sadhu sangha is so important. Harikatha is so important. Because it's getting together to remind us between ourselves those things that we know they are there, but sometimes we become distracted. And when we are no longer distracted, we still become together to reinforce more and more that and develop more and more that. Without limit, as we spoke in the beginning. Till we reach this transcendental dissatisfaction. And we together we will try to satisfy each other's this transcendental dissatisfaction by increasing our love and devotion. So we are here very blessed. So the other thing is try to pray so Krishna maintains that door open to us. And we may take care of the association that has come to our life. Because that sadhu sangha is the key to open that door of mercy. That's a password to access this world. So we have to be careful of not offending the Vaishnavas. And try to be as sincere as we can. No matter how imperfect we still are. And have full faith in this idea of unconditional love. And costless mercy that is coming to us through Guru Parampara. So that will give us the strength to change whatever is still there. And to eventually reach our ultimate goal. In 2, 3, 1 million lifetimes, doesn't matter. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Patita Pavana ki jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai, Shri Prague Yatra ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanand.
Hari Hari.